Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Faulkner. I'm an intern for Village Core. For other events like this, be sure to check out villagecore.org or check out our YouTube channel where we upload these meetings in case you missed them. Today, we'll be talking about ESPN in the world of sports and different things that you can find using the ESPN app or going simply on the website like I am now. Since ESPN is now affiliated with the Walt Disney Company, ESPN does have a special offer where they are allowing people to buy Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN all bundled into one, along with some other things, all bundled into one for, I believe it's $150 a year. I'd have to check that, but there is that option. So essentially, what ESPN does is it's kind of like your hub to get all things sports related. This could be football, this could be basketball, hockey, golf, Formula One, and other things of that nature. So if you're somebody who's really big into, let's say, pro level kind of competition of sports, or even college level competition of these sports, you'll be able to find it on ESPN. So here we kind of have the home page in front of me. I'm currently not logged into any account, so it's not going to be curated to my preferences. So right now we're just seeing kind of what ESPN is giving me for just kind of like a general breakdown and kind of overview of what they think I might like. So here we can see different things like the NHL, which is the National Hockey League. We also have the NFL, which is for football. And then we have a few other scores and other things like that. So ESPN is really good about kind of providing you with both scores and also making sure that you're kept up to date with the latest in news from these different sports organizations. So if I were to go to, let's say I wanted to look at NCAA men's basketball, because I'm a really big basketball fan. And let's say I wanted to go for let's say I want to see Southern New Orleans versus the Troy game. As you can see here, it's an ESPN Plus access, which means I'm not able to access it currently because I don't have ESPN Plus and I can't watch the game. But with a subscription of $10.99 a month, I will be able to access this and be able to watch all the games that are on ESPN, and I'll be able to catch up on the highlights and read other important news that might come out of these different kinds of games. So there are thousands of live events from UFC to other types of events. There's also a complete award-winning 30 on 30 library, which we'll get into that later. And then there's also kind of other things that ESPN Plus offers. So as we can see here, we have exclusive perks. We have pay-per-view events. We also have 3,000 premium articles, fantasy teams, and also being able to stream, rewind, and replay different videos that are happening throughout the sports world. So if you're somebody who's kind of really big into sports and you don't want to miss a game, you don't want to miss any scores, this is kind of like your place to go in order to kind of rewatch it, kind of make sure that you're always in the know about what's happening with your favorite sports team. So as we can see, as I just scroll down here, there are hundreds of different types of games that are going on. These could be between different colleges and different levels of competitiveness. And this is kind of just going through, seeing what there might be. Like, let's say I want to look at the LMU versus the UCSB game because that might be interesting to me, and I might want to go to UCSB at some point in my college career, and I want to see that game. I want to get a rundown of that game. I could go there and I could watch the game accordingly. So if we go back here on the side here, we can see different types of events that are here. We have some quick links. So here we can see UFC and NHL, NCAA, both men's and women's. We can also see NFL primetime games, and then we can also see the Matt Miller's new NFL mock draft. So basically, if you're somebody who's really big into kind of like fantasy football, and other things of that nature, and you kind of want to keep up to date, The ESPN does actually have an app that you can go onto your phone and you can get live up to date scores on games that are happening, even if you can't watch them. So if you sign up for ESPN Plus and you really want to make sure that you're keeping track of the game because you want to say, let's say I'm keeping track of a Lakers game and I really want to see the players score and I really want to know what the score is. Every single time that a specific player on the team makes a shot and they receive a score, I might get a notification on my phone saying that player just made a score. Here's the live coverage. Here's the live score count right now that's going on. So as you can see here, we have a few games that are going on. So these games are going on, I believe, as of right now. So we can see that the Maple Leafs are versing the Rangers. The Maple Leafs are up with hockey, and we can see that live coverage right now that's happening. Also, ESPN does give you live times of when games might be happening. So this game just started. Since it is now 4:30, and I believe this game was actually supposed to set at 4:30. So they might be a little bit behind, but this game is happening right now, and I could go into it and I'd be able to see the live score count. I can also get a in-depth view of what's actually happening on the field, as well as seeing different kinds of score counts, team stats, seeing which player just made it, also different articles, just kind of like your basic overview of what you want to see. So if we can see different teams here and what their win-loss rate is, their points scored, and then we can also see other things of that nature. If you really want an in-depth look at what this game is all about. So here we can see the field right here. So we can see the hockey field, the hockey ice rink right here, and we can kind of see who made a shot from where that shot was directed, what's going to happen with that shot. As of right now, there's not really much going on the field. I'll try to find a game where it's actually something's happening, but as of right now, nothing's happening. But yeah, as we can see here, it kind of just gives you a basic rundown of what's happening. So ESPN allows you to kind of watch the games. They also allow you to um, kind of switch around between things. So if you're looking at, let's say you want to look at hockey, but at the same time you want to make sure that your soccer team is keeping up to date with their scores and they're shooting consistently, and both games are going on simultaneously. You can keep track of both with the ESPN app or the ESPN website. So here, if I'm able to click on this, we might be able to see. Okay, we can't see the live coverage, but if I were signed in, we'd be able to see the live coverage of the game. So we can watch different kinds of we can watch different events that are going on. So let's say these events are going on right now. If I were to sign up with ESPN Plus, I'd be able to see all these different kinds of games. We can also pick specific leagues that we want to see, like the English FA Cup, or let's say I want to watch UFC, or I wanted to watch some golf. I could scroll over here and I could look at the different types of leagues that there are. So they have the X Games, the NCAA, they have the XFL. They have all these different kinds of sports affiliated kind of events that people like to watch. And then down here, we can also see all the sports they have. They have MMA, football, soccer, volleyball, boxing, wrestling. Um, they have track and field, baseball, golf, motorsports, rugby, and other events that you might be interested in. There's also film spotlights. So once you go through and once you actually preview kind of the website for yourself, and once you specifically pick the teams that you enjoy, there might be movie recommendations about that team that ESPN will put forward for you. So as of right now, Shohei Ohtani is very hot in the news because he just signed a contract with the I believe it's the LA Dodgers for $700 million. So we could watch an in-depth view of Shohei Ohtani's career and see what's going on behind the scenes, see why he's such a good player, and see why the Dodgers signed him for $700 million. So we can go through, we can watch these movies. We can also watch press conferences with different kinds of athletes. So if you're looking to get kind of like an in-depth review of what game just happened, and see kind of a different perspective of the game from somebody who might know a little bit more, you have that option to kind of watch these replays, watch these interviews. There's also event replays. So if you missed the game, but you really want to know what was going on because all your friends around you were talking about it, there's an option for you here to kind of go back, watch the game, and then you'll be in the know about what just happened. And with ESPN Plus, you'll be able to rewind in that game and see minute by minute what happened and play by play, see exactly what happened. There's also different kinds of episodes. So if you're looking for kind of like, let's say fantasy focus, let's say you're really big into fantasy and you want to see kind of predictions, you want to see who's winning, who's up right now, you want to see if your team's up, this is your place to kind of come to see, okay, here's my fantasy focus, here's what I need to be focusing here on, here's the teams that I need to be looking at, and that sort of thing. Or if you're somebody who's really big into, let's say UFC, or MMA, or anything of that nature, we could watch all those events here, with the ESPN going on here. So ESPN kind of provides you with a way to kind of look at all the sports that you like, um, no matter what season it is. So some of these other things, like let's say you're really big into tennis and you have the Wimbledon app. Wimbledon only happens a specific Wimbledon for tennis only happens a specific part of the year, and other than that, that tennis match does not go on. So if you want to look at other sports that you might be interested, like typically, if you're into tennis, you're into golf. So if you want to keep up on golf scores, this is kind of like your place to come to see, okay, let's see golf. I want to find golf. And I want to keep up to date on what John Ram is doing. And so here we can see kind of golf highlights. Here we can see different news, like play has been suspended at the Alfred Dunhill Championship. We can see what's happening with kind of the players moving throughout, and then we can also get different kinds of interviews. We can see we can also see the scores of the different kinds of golfers and other things of that nature. So there's something on here for everybody. It's not just focusing on hockey. It's not just focusing on soccer. It's not just focusing on basketball, even though those are kind of like your three big main events that you might be looking for. There's also other things on here that you might be interested in. So here I won't explain it. Well, I will explain it, but I won't go too in depth into it. But here are all the events in front of us as we're seeing that ESPN offers. So we have things like Olympic sports, X Games, tennis, rugby. We have NASCAR. We have the WNBA and other things like that. We have sports betting. So if you're somebody who's really into sports betting, you might want to come here to get your news about what's happening with sports betting. So ESPN is just a really good way to kind of figure out what you're into, what you're looking for in the world of sports, and also kind of get a detailed view of what's happening rather than just hearing it on the TV. Watching it on the TV is fine, but at the same time, it's not really giving you the field look at what's happening, and it's not really showing you, okay, here's what's happening. Here's who's on the field right now. So as you can see right now, here are all the players who are moving around. Um, so here's a live update of what's happening. So we can see shots are being made, shots have been missed. So we can see key moments in the game, like a shot was saved here by a player, and then we can also see here what's happening on the field, as well as the score count, as well as what's happening with the different kinds of teams. And it's just a really easy way to kind of navigate around, kind of make sure you're in the know about what's happening. And also, if you're really big into fantasy, once more, there's Fantasy Home, there's Football Fantasy, there's the Capital One, there's the Capital One Bowl, there's the pigskin bracket. So if you want to really go through and make your fantasy team with your friends, this is a really easy way to do it. But keep in mind, some of the features on ESPN are only accessed through ESPN Plus. So some of these features, like I'm looking at now, are obviously free. But other features, if I were to try to watch this live video here, I would not be able to because I don't have ESPN Plus, and I would need ESPN Plus, or I would need to connect my internet provider or streaming service to my computer in order to watch it. So keep that in mind when you are going onto the ESPN Plus website. You do need to connect either your internet provider or you need to buy ESPN Plus, or you can get the bundle with Disney Plus, ESPN. Um, I believe it's National Geographic, Marvel, and other things of that nature, which provides you kind of with a large package of things that you might want to watch later on in the future. We can also see there's top headlines here, which in the sporting world, keeping up to date on your news might be something that you're interested in. You might not like reading typical news, but you might like reading a feel-good story about a baseball player who came up from nothing and now has everything simply because he's great at baseball. That might be your thing, and that might be something that you find here. So as we can see here, we can watch reclips and different kinds of plays that have happened. So of course, I will be met with an ad. But you can, once that ad is over, you can go through, kind of watch the videos, kind of see what's going on, rather than not knowing what's happening. So once more, we have kind of like opinion articles as well. So here we have an article that says, is Shohei Ohtani really worth $700 million? And the projection of the Dodgers over the next decade. It's really just up to you and what your preference of sports is, um, depending on what you really like, and depending on what you're actually looking for out of your sports. So once again, we have top teams here. So if you're looking for, let's say you're a giant soccer fan, but you live in America and America isn't necessarily into soccer or more into football, but you still want to keep up on your Arsenal games. We can see here, we can get the live updates of Arsenal. We can see kind of like their 2023 standings, 2023-2024 standings, and then we can also see kind of the updates that are happening. And then later on, when there are live videos and things like that, we can see the live videos and we can also see the results of all those games that are played. And then we can go back and we can watch the replays that have happened throughout the games. So other than that, there's nothing really else for me to add other than the fact that um, that ESPN can be paired with other apps. So if you're looking to pair, let's say you like the MLB, and you have the MLB app, you can pair both the MLB app and the ESPN together, in order to have an actual combine live coverage in order to keep track of your games. So what I mean by this is you can have one device, like let's say I have my MacBook here playing the game, and then I have my phone next to me, keeping track of the score and keeping track of the plays, keeping track of everything going on, because I might want to go back later and might want to say, okay, this player cranked the bat, they hit a home run, but let's examine exactly how they did that, the speed that they did that at, and get a really in-depth analysis of what happened. This is also great if you're just a sports fan in general, and you moved away from your hometown. And you no longer have access to the games. Now you can simply just watch the games at home. You don't have to go and fly all the way to Detroit to go watch the Lions. You can be here in California, since I'm in California, and I can be here and I can watch the Lions game whenever I want, whenever they're playing, without actually having to be in the stands, which is actually relatively cheaper than actually going out, flying, buying a ticket, and being in the stands. So other than that, there's nothing really else for me to add other than ESPN is a great way to kind of keep up to date on sports. So once again, my name is Brandon Faulkner. I'm an intern for Village Core. For other events like this, be sure to check out villagecore.org or check out our YouTube channel where we upload these meetings daily in case you miss them. Thank you so much for watching.